pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Long Meadow School Committee maintains educational policies that foster continuous improvement by challenging and supporting all children in a safe and caring learning environment, enabling them to reach their highest potential and to become productive citizens. Through effective communication and positive relationships, the Long Meadow School Committee will make informed decisions in the best interest of the students, the schools, and the Long Meadow community. Correspondence.
There is no correspondence.
Wonderful. Visitor comments. We have no visitors that want to comment. So school committee comments.
There will be a pasta dinner to benefit the Rebuild Fund for Judy Nelson, a beloved LHS art teacher, on February 6th from 6 to 7:30 in the cafeteria at LHS. Tickets will be $10 per person or $25 for families. Tickets are available in the main office of the high school, at all 3 lunches, or at the door.
Awesome. Any other comments out there?
Hi. I have one.
Sure.
I just wanted to say that last week we went to Williams Middle School winter concert, and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
Really impressed. And then this week we're going to a center school concert, which is in the high school, and I can't wait to see it.
At the high school?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Blueberry Hill has theirs on Tuesday.
At Blueberry. Any other comments? Great. I'm going to move right along. I'm going to change it up because we do have some guests here tonight, and I'm sure that they want to get home at some point. So I'm going to call up assistant principal for the time being, Tom Landers, so he can start to bring us through the updated student opportunities and handbook. And I think, Tom, this is the first time you're here since you received the job as a principal. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Looking forward to next year, certainly.
As am I. Thank you
Sure.
so much.
So I'll let you take it away.
Great. Good evening. I'm Tom Landers. I'm representing the LHS administration, and with us tonight are 4 department chairs that I asked to come with us to because we're going to present some updates to you tonight, and the substantive changes really are involved in the art, science, and PE health department. And we also have our director of our guidance here to answer any questions about GPA or transcript. So Jamie DeBurn, department chair for science, is here tonight. Deb Callahan, department chair for the art department. Rita Hawker, department chair for physical education and health. And our director of guidance, Donna Lyons, are here. And we can answer any questions that may come up. We wanted to come and update the school committee. We're excited about the changes to the program of studies. Some years we bring you no updates, some years we bring you a few. This year we're bringing you several. So we're excited about them. We think that they improve opportunities for students and families, and we're excited. The reason we have so many updates this year really is a combination of things. One, the new facility has allowed us to do new things. We have some changes thrust upon us, which I'll explain a little bit. That really is in the science department. The College Board has really required us to make some changes. And also we've listened to feedback, both from our students, from our parents, and from the middle schools. And we think that we're proud of the program of studies, but we think this is really an enhancement and an improvement. So I'm going to walk through. I know that you all have a memo that I had sent last week, which goes over the updates and gives a little rationale, a little context. I'll walk through it quickly, and then we can answer any questions that may come up.
Fantastic.
In the art department, we have a few updates that we're excited about. The advanced drawing, painting, and printmaking, advanced digital art and photography, and advanced sculpture and ceramics are really a streamlining of existing courses. And these, the changes are several semester courses are being eradicated in lieu of the year-long courses, which allow a little bit more in-depth study. There's a lot of rigor in these courses. There is certainly a lot of outside of the classroom requirements, and with the feedback from students and the input from the department, we think that the classes can be more meaningful in a year-long opportunity. But those are really existing courses. The new course in the art department is the publications. We have a yearbook. Yearbook is a massive undertaking. You need a yearbook. You need to produce a good quality yearbook to satisfy the needs of students and parents and the community. And we're proud of the yearbook we put out, but we can put out a better yearbook. It is run right now as a club, and candidly, we have had a very tough time keeping advisors. The stipend that goes along with that club is not very great, and through the kindness and the patience of several people over the years, they've stuck with us. But that's at an end. So that's one reason why we would like to give it its proper due. Having said that, there's also a lot more that we can do. There's a lot more writing, there's a lot more editing, there's a lot more description that can be done to the yearbook. And John Williams, the current advisor to the yearbook, would say that if he was here. Right now, the yearbook in the last few years, if you look at it, it is really a collection of photographs, which is okay, but at Long Meadow High School, it should be better. So putting it into the art department, which will allow our students to do a lot more of the production of the book in-house rather than sending outside. It's something our students can do, certainly, as well as the companies that we have had as vendors. The combination of writing that can be done in that course, the combination of editing that can be done in that course, the interdisciplinary opportunities that present itself for marketing of the book is an opportunity we're excited about. So it's an interdisciplinary effort at making a better publication for our students.
Will
And that,
question,
John.
will there still be a publisher or a private company working with them? Or you gonna publish it in-house?
In the first year, we will certainly leave that open, and we probably will eventually. We'd like to do it all in-house. That would be the goal, and we think we can do that. But if we have to work with an outside vendor, we can, but the reliance upon them should be lessened year to year.
What about like current other sort of extracurricular activities like Jet Jotter, which I know has kind of been struggling this year? Would that fall under this as well?
I should have mentioned it. Jet Jotter is its own entity, and however, publications or impressions, I'm sorry, is a student publication in the spring that would be combined with this. I should have added that. At this juncture, we wanted to leave the Jet Jotter alone. So many students who write for the Jet Jotter probably would not have been able to fit into this course. And I should also add that we felt strongly that even though we think it should be a class, we want to leave the opportunity for some kind of club, albeit a smaller one, to also run. So if a student could not fit into his or her schedule,
Sure.
they could still be part of the yearbook. It's a big part of senior year for a lot of students, so we
Okay.
don't want to take that away from them. And although this would be primarily a senior class, we would allow some juniors, both for experience and transition as we move to the next year, and also for a student who might be, simply be a junior and their senior year might be, they anticipate it being taken up. So both juniors would be able to be involved, and seniors who were not involved in the class could participate, and impressions would be rolled into it.
Great. Do you have any other questions on art? Deb, you got off easy.
Social studies. The crux of the social studies change is really United States history. There is not an MCAS United States history exam. There was planning for that years ago. It was supposed to be a world history exam. It switched to a United States MCAS exam. It has never come to fruition. There is no plan for there to be an MCAS history exam, and there is no plan for a Park history exam. There has been frustration on the part of the LHS social studies teachers since we switched from a U.S. history course covering 1877 to the present. We changed that, I want to say, in 2006. There's been a frustration because there's a rush to cover material. I know last year it was discussed here in the social studies department that they want to have more outside reading, that they want to have more research done. This will allow that. So really, this is a return to the original scope of the U.S. History course and curriculum at Long Meadow High. And it would begin in 1877, run up through the present, and it would allow for outside historical reading in United States history, and also for that research paper, in-depth research paper that some classes are doing, but to be fair, not all have been doing. The 8th grade United States curriculum also goes up through 1877, up through Civil War and Reconstruction. And the only other change that Social Studies Department has come forward with is really a description of the levels, and they've worked and continue to work with the 2 middle schools to make sure that expectations for the 3 levels of courses are clear. You know, we have some frustration of 8th and 9th graders coming in and hitting a wall in a level that they're at. We've worked hard this year to improve communication, and the course level description really seeks to do that.
John?
I'd like to commend you and the Social Studies Department on these revisions. It seems to me quite appropriate for where we're at.
Thank you. They deserve the credit. Megan Schwartz, the department chair, and the teachers really felt strongly about this, and thank you.
Any other questions on history?
World language is really only adding language. We have Latin language culture 1 and Latin language culture 2. It's a great option for some of our students. There has been a little bit of pushback at the college level. Not too many colleges, but Westfield State in particular has pushed back and questioned whether that is a level of a language that they want to accept. So that fits into our program, that fits a need for some of our students, but we are going to add language just to clarify to parents, so students and parents go in with their eyes wide open, knowing exactly what questions they may be asked when they apply to colleges. There's no change in the curriculum or the courses itself. Science is an area of pretty big adjustment this year. We think on several levels it's an improvement of what we do. The College Board has decided, and Jamie DeBurn can answer some of these questions in more detail if you wish, but in a nutshell, the College Board has deemed the AP Physics B curriculum to be too great to teach in 1 year to high school students. They think it's too challenging, too rigorous. So they've split that into AP Physics 1 and AP Physics 2, which is great and which is going to meet the needs of most of our students. However, we have students right now who are taking and succeeding and getting 4s and 5s on the AP Physics B exam. So there is a cohort at Long Meadow High School that we don't want to not meet the needs of. So our proposal is that we have AP Physics 1 as an option for students. We also have AP Physics 1/2, which is admittedly a very rigorous course, an in-depth course, the course that the College Board is saying probably for most high schools is too rigorous. Long Meadow High School is not your average high school. So we are concerned about meeting the needs of those students who are caught in the pipeline right now, who, if we offered AP 1 next year only, AP Physics 1 to them, they would be under-challenged. So we want to offer AP Physics 1. We want to offer AP Physics 1 and 2, and we want to change the name of conceptual physics to physics. And let me explain a little bit about why, and with the eradication of currently the course called Honors Physics. AP, the work, the rigor, the pacing, the difficulty of the curriculum in Honors Physics at Long Meadow High School is equal to or greater than the rigor of the AP Physics 1. The work, the effort that the students are doing right now, they deserve the grade differentiation of the AP level, number one, and they deserve a shot at taking that exam. Jamie and other science teachers, physics in particular, have examined this issue, and the work that our students do deserve that title change, and they deserve that option at the exam. Also, we have a course called Conceptual Physics, and that title, Conceptual Physics, has scared off some students, and it has also made some college admissions personnel raise an eyebrow and question that course. Again, the Conceptual Physics course at Long Meadow High School is equal to, or in most cases greater than, physics courses at other high schools. So again, our students deserve the title of physics, so no one questions what the rigor of that course is. And it will also meet the needs. We've heard feedback from students and parents for years that that name has sort of caused some people to shy away from that, when that's probably the more appropriate level for them. But they thrust themselves into an honors level or an AP level where they find themselves having some difficulty. So again, we have to make changes in science, and we think the best option of having conceptual physics become physics, honors physics become AP Physics 1, and also offer for that small but significant cohort of students who really want to challenge themselves in upper level math and science and STEM opportunities, AP Physics 1 and 2. We will probably be coming back to you next year, though, and proposing an AP Physics 2, because we'll have students in the pipeline that we need to meet their needs.
Janet?
How does that affect the students who are currently in honors physics in terms of their transcripts? If the course descriptions are changing, does that have any effect on the current juniors, for their transcripts?
It shouldn't have a negative effect on them. They're still taking an honors physics course at Long Meadow High School. That is the name of the course that they took, so that will appear on their transcript. I don't know if Donna, if you want to add anything, but we want to make it better for future students.
I mean, I agree with Tom,
Not matter for them.
Will students currently in the honors physics class be offered to take the AP exam or some kind of transition?
You can challenge the AP exam as is, so if they want to, they can do that.
Thank you.
How many of our students struggled in the Physics 1, 2?
I don't know, to be fair. I'm going to guess at this, and I will defer to Jamie. I would say that anecdotally, from my point of view and from what guidance hears and what administration hears, some of the struggling in physics is not really in that level, because the students going into it knowing the expectations, and they're very smart, very hardworking, and that's why we think that we still want to offer an equivalent of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if Jamie, you want to add to that or disagree with that, but I think it's obviously a smaller cohort, but we feel strongly that the students who take that know what they're asking for, know what they're in for, and they want it, and they're going to major in math and science in college. So even though it's a small percentage, I haven't heard any complaints about frustrations at that level, although it's a very challenging level.
Well, I love the way you structured it, because it sounds like our top students will still go for that Physics 1, 2, but you're opening a door of opportunity for other students that might not feel they can handle the rigor of the 1, 2 course.
That's what we want. That was our purpose.
Great.
Perfect.
Math changes really only include adding an Algebra 1 honors level. We don't have an Algebra 1 honors level, and we should. And Meredith Laughlin, Department Chair of Math, has been helpful. She has had numerous conversations with the two principals of the middle schools and the math teachers of the middle schools. And as I said in the packet, the Common Core and the changes in the Common Core and the feedback from the middle schools really point to the fact that we should have an honors Algebra 1. We have about half of our students come in and they take Algebra 1. They've never had an opportunity to take an honors level Algebra 1, but about half of them take that, and about half of them take geometry, and a few delve right into Algebra 2. But we think that this is another opportunity for appropriate placement for either students who had not taken algebra at the middle school level but want to take challenge themselves and take an honors level, or students who may have taken an algebra course at the middle school level, but have not necessarily mastered it and could benefit from taking another year of it at an honors level. So that's the only change in math.
That's perfect, given the new math curriculum at the middle school. There'll be a big need for that course.
Physical education, we're excited about the new facility. There are 4 courses that we're suggesting. The first 2 are women's health and fitness and lifetime fitness for men. Rita Hawker could speak more intelligently than I could to this, but there is a lot of research that shows that females in particular during adolescence have several issues which cause them not to succeed, not to take part, not to strive in PE, and we want to improve that. Under Title IX, anything we offer for females, we have to offer for males and vice versa. Not that we also don't think that there may be a need for young men to also want an all-male PE class. Both these classes, actually all 4 of these classes, would count as their PE. This is not in addition to PE. This is an opportunity, an option, an enhancement while still meeting the requirement of taking PE yearly. The other 2 courses, exercise physiology and advanced concepts of strength and conditioning, are enhancements for students who want to do more. And again, this is based on feedback to the PE department, to the guidance department, and exercise physiology goes above and beyond and actually marries the science behind the exercise to the exercise and offers an opportunity for students to take that in a little bit more depth. Our facility, our PE department, and our health department, and the creativity that they're going to use to teach these courses is something that we're excited about. We've been chatting about this for a few years, but the new facility allows us to move forward with it.
What grade levels is women's health and fitness being offered to? Thanks.
Are all 4 juniors and seniors? All 4 classes will be just juniors and seniors right now?
So just to get it straight in my head, how it's going to work out is instead of taking a full year of gym, you can take a section of, well, you still take your full section of PE, but you take it with just women or with just men if you want.
If you chose, and if that,
Or one of these. Okay.
So it's letting the students kind of specialize a little bit
Right.
more, an interest that they might have, instead of, we're gonna do tennis, and we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're giving them a little bit more option. It's not truly an elective program yet, is where I'd like to see us go.
Sure.
But it's a baby step towards giving students some choice.
Okay. Yeah.
And frequency of the classes are going to be equivalent to the current?
Yeah.
Okay.
Except for the exercise physiology,
Right.
we'll meet more, because it's more of a, I don't want to keep saying science-based, but there's a lot more classroom work to that, but they would only do PE just 3 times out of the cycle instead of the 6 like we would for any other class.
Okay.
So it's the equivalent, it's just different.
What's your class size requirement in order to like have these run? Do you think that you're gonna have? I mean, I know you guys it's different, but I mean with the specialization that you're offering in PE that never existed before, do you feel that you're gonna get the participation you think you are?
The kids are very excited right
Okay.
now. They're asking about it, but I know normally we don't run classes here, at least, what, 10, 15 minutes? So,
Okay.
if the numbers aren't there, we won't be able to do that. But that would be our goal. And again, a lot of kids are already getting a little bit excited about this.
They want you to come to the microphone.
It's too late now.
Rita basically said for people at home that the students are very excited about this. They think that participation will be high, and we'll find out as soon as registration begins.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think this is exciting, and I think that, I certainly wish that this type of opportunity had been afforded to me, across all of these different subjects. But obviously, since we're talking about PE, specifically PE at this point, especially because it is so important for a healthy lifestyle, to actually be interested in what you're studying. So, any questions?
No, I would just say I love this idea, and it has like a college feel to it.
Yeah.
So I bet that is making the kids excited.
I think that, I just want to add one more thing. I think that I mean, this is the first time that I've been on, in my time on school committee, that there's been this many changes to the curriculum. And it's exciting to see that because of this new building, we're able to offer a level of educational opportunity that I think we've always wanted to, that I know that I would have preferred when I was here. Not that it was bad. So I think that this is great, and I can only hope that next year and the year after and the year after that, we continue to see a lot of diversity in what we're offering, especially because the facility allows it. And, obviously we have a staff that's interested in, being creative and doing these sort of things, and I think that's exciting, and I'm very happy. John?
I'd like to second that. I'm very happy to see us revising our curriculum because we have a new building and we've got new opportunities. And it's in line with our belief that we ought to be offering a 21st century education. So I commend all of you for your work on that, and keep up the good work. Keep revising. Keep experimenting too. If it doesn't work, try something else. That's what this building is built for a new approach and a student-centered approach to education. Thank you.
Thank you, and I guess lastly, I just wanted to also update you on the sort of a status of the clubs at LHS. We have 48 clubs. I think you have the list in front of you. They're very diverse, and while not every single club runs every single year, it's predicated on interest of the students. We pride ourselves on the number of clubs, the types of opportunities that students have. Some are very traditional clubs, and some are clubs that are born out of interest of students who come and approach us. And Mr. Dunkley, our assistant principal, has done great work working with the students to make it an open office. And we pride ourselves on the fact that they do come and chat with teachers and administrators and other advisors. And as John just said about we're constantly attempting new things, and we're trying things in academics, we're also doing it in clubs. So if you look down the list of things, some are, as I said before, very traditional, and some have been around for decades, and others are more modern, and some come and go.
A trading card club?
We have all kinds. Yes, we have all kinds of things. We had a Harry Potter club, and and again, that can't. And it might sound silly, but we had about 10 students who wanted to pursue that, and we have. We were chatting today about a gaming club, and it's not very big, but it offers an opportunity for students to engage in that with an adult in a positive atmosphere, increase their social interaction, all kinds of activities. So we are clearly, Long Meadow High School clearly has more active clubs than any high school in the area at 48, and we're open to have more. But I wanted to report on that as well tonight.
It's extremely impressive. I was signing field trip forms in the past week or two. The debate team's out, Model UN, Sweet 16 groups gone for academic competition. I'm missing one of them, but it's absolutely amazing, the variety. And I think we probably should have a few more presentations from the academic clubs. We don't get to hear so much what's happening in that end. We hear a lot about the athletics, and we hear about the art and music, but I'd love to hear more about the type of activities these clubs participate in and their success. So.
Great.
And I'd like to know if we have reached that point where we can say every student at Long Meadow High School is participating in at least one or two of these activities.
I think the last.
Am I saying that properly?
That's our goal.
And I want to encourage that kind of
Sure.
growth so that
And that's our
outside the
goal.
classroom there's interaction with adults and their peers. So it's part of socialization,
Absolutely.
if you will.
And
So-
that's our goal. The high 80s, it ranges between 86 and 88% of our students engage in at least one curricular activities. Most of them engage in a lot more than one, to be fair. But that is our goal, and that has increased from clubs like this, from reaching out to a student who might not be interested in the traditional options. But our goal, John, I agree, our goal is to have 100% of students involved in something outside of just academics, to be involved, and even many of those, that 12% or so who might not be engaged in a formal activity, doesn't mean that they're not fans of athletic events doesn't not mean that they don't attend concerts, doesn't mean that they don't attend art shows. But I agree, our goal is to have every student be involved.
Well, I think that diversity that's shown by this list is going to be encouraging for students.
Absolutely.
And we encourage them to dream up their own club.
We do. And something, I guess lastly, I would just say, something that we've done for the last few years that has worked great, and I give the student office and Paul Dunkerley credit for that, is that when we have our 9th grade orientation, we advertise these clubs and we have initial signups. You don't have to, and that's a time where excitement is high and they're just coming onto the high school campus. They're meeting Donna Lyons and the guidance counselors. They're doing a tour of the building, and we really put the full court press on the clubs and the activities that are available to them. And they can sign up, and quite frankly, some of them that sign up for, they might sign up for 5 or 6 different clubs, and even though they might not follow through with 5 or 6, that's an opportunity for us to reach out to them during the year, during that fall, and explain a little bit more to them. And that's also why participation in the clubs is up. So we advertise them unapologetically, and we do that pretty much throughout the year. We'll have times where club advertisements are prioritized through the year at tables, at lunch, and things like that. But we're pleased, and we think that they're really valuable opportunities for students.
Very good.
Anybody else? I mean, speaking from my own experience as a club advisor, it's a great opportunity to come and, to get people involved. And, I think that, the fact that I was approached by students to help them with what they wanted to do, I think that is kind of representative of, why we have so many different clubs. It's because, you find one interested adult and you have a club, and it's a great opportunity. And, I'm interested in seeing what else they come up with, so.
I'd like to thank you, Tom, as well as the staff for coming
Definitely.
tonight. We have an exceptional high school. We don't get to tell you that in person often enough, but you really are the starship of the district, and you set the bar high, and we appreciate that. But the fact that you care about kids and every child, you look to find a niche and to make sure they feel safe, I think that's the reason the high school is so successful. So keep up the good work. We appreciate all that you do.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
All right. Let's get this back on track. Moving right along into superintendent's report. Marie?
First, for a building update, I met with Tony again earlier in the week, along with Tom, to review the punch list. The good news is it's down to 1 page, so we're thrilled about that. The last thing that Tom and I need to do is meet with Larry to see if his observations are the same as ours. Tony's time here will be concluding very shortly. He said he will be available, but we want to make sure that punch list is done. And given the thousands of pages that we were originally faced with, this is really a great place to be, so.
Feels like just 2 months ago we were sitting here talking about all, the double-sided pages. So
Oh, yeah.
This
So
is great.
this is fabulous news. Kelly met with the Literacy Committee, which is continuing the work of bringing literacy to the district. The new area under discussion is phonics, so they will be looking at phonics kits and beginning to pilot one of those. We're still looking at reading and reading training, as well as the literacy coaches, to see how we can best utilize those supports for our staff as well as students. We do have some pictures. Do you? I'm going to go to the end of the report. Kelly took some pictures on one of the walkthroughs, and what we were going to do is, if you look on Kelly's piece of the website, you'll see updates on what's happening with the curriculum, as well as the walkthroughs. But you bought the books. What you see here are the book boxes. They're in the background. Here we go. You can see that the books are out in all the classrooms. They're put in by levels so that students know which box they're supposed to be going to. They're also put facing out so that it's of interest to students, so they can look at the covers and the pictures to make sure they're getting something of great interest to them.
That's great.
Authors. You can see how many books it takes in one classroom to complete a library, which is why it was quite an expensive initiative, but it's well worth it. And the book bags are over to the right. Each student has a book bag so that when the teacher identifies the level, the students have a bag of books that are at their level that they can read. So during silent reading, they're all prepared. It makes for smooth transitions. It also makes it easy for the students to be engaged in reading because they're reading at their own level. Kelly, is there anything you want to add?
Just you'll start to see in the classrooms posters like this. We call these anchor charts because they anchor the learning, particularly that learning that is across genre, across strategy, and across grade levels. So if you're in our elementary classrooms, you'll start to see anchor charts called the 5-finger rule. And this is a self-selection strategy that our students are learning in order to choose just right books independently from our new classroom libraries. So it's a simple strategy that we use in the classroom that's also very applicable at home. So you can start to ask your children, for viewers at home, about the 5-finger rule and how that can help them select text at home for those children who are in grades K through 5. So we'll use anchor charts like this to help students become really independent with not only text selection, but with the application of all sorts of strategies for reading comprehension, reading fluency, and just for building a love of books in our classrooms. The other thing we wanted to show you on the website, and this is the longmeadowlearning.org website, if you'd like to visit for more information. But the other link that's new is Time for Literacy. So newly implemented across the district is our 4-component literacy model for elementary reading and writing. Those 4 blocks that will constitute every day in the literacy block for all K-5 learners includes Reader's Workshop, Writer's Workshop, Phonics and Word Study, and an interactive read aloud. And when you visit our classrooms, our schedules will begin to look like this. So you'll see some newly emerging schedules on our front boards, on our whiteboards, or our bulletin boards. And the new pieces to look for is this component here, Reader's Workshop and Writer's Workshop, in addition to the Phonics and Word Study block and the Read Aloud. So you'll see these schedules that look almost identical with a little bit of our local classroom flavor in every room. And this will really help students become acclimated to the language of balanced literacy so that not only from classroom to classroom but from grade to grade, students will carry the knowledge of this shared language with them, which will make literacy instruction feel really cohesive in our K-5 classrooms throughout the district.
That's great.
Thanks. One thing that we noticed during our walkthroughs is that focused lessons weren't being done, and focused lessons are a pretty critical piece to instruction because there should be a 15-minute targeted lesson that you're teaching. So Kelly was able to put this on the website. We were able to remind principals and teachers to take a look that this is what the expectation was and this is how they were trained. So that's great. Next. Earlier in the year, I met with Kathleen E. Paul to talk about the possibility of bringing Mandarin to Longmeadow in a cost-effective way. We talked about actually students learning virtually, and she's gone out and done some research, and she met with Larry, Tom, Kelly, and I today to talk about actually hooking up with Middlebury College, because Middlebury offers it. The course would be $400 for the year. And I'm going to talk to Tom about budgeting some money for this pilot program. That would mean that students could take 2 years of Mandarin. We talked about how we would schedule students, how we would find teachers accessible to oversee this. So this will be our first venture into serious virtual learning. It's my hope that the following year you will be able to look at higher level math, science classes, and other offerings that we are not able to provide here because we do not have the staff on site to teach it. So we'll learn more as we walk through the first step of virtual classes. The network still continues to be a problem. Do I need to give you all the details? I don't think you want them. Needless to say that they have not finished unhooking their wiring so that we cannot hook up. It has set the whole project backwards because our vendors were ready this week to go in and hook up to our new broadband. But since they're not able to get onto the telephone poles, we're not able to do that just yet. Okay? Very disappointing.
Do we have any kind of projection? I know that being in, I've been in one of the elementary schools this week, assisting, and we've got teachers who are, truly embracing the integration of technology in their lessons, and either they can't connect, or they, the
Yep.
time on learning is so compromised because of the connection times and all. I was just wondering if we have any kind of estimate.
End of the week, but that's
Well,
not
no.
realistic, because now our vendors are
Are
backed
backed
up,
up.
and it may be 2 to 3 weeks before they can get us back on their list
Schedule.
of, right, on the schedule to come service us. It could be at least 3 weeks. It's very frustrating. Even our email simply in the office is
absolutely.
crawling like a snail. So-
Absolutely.
Similar issues in our elementary school as well this week.
Yeah, it's very, very frustrating.
Yeah, especially in the BTC. I personally have noticed like our accounting classes are almost mute after the instruction, because we usually go online to use the PLIA to do our work, and we have to save it to home because we can't do it.
Oh, that's very frustrating
Will
to
we
hear.
be? Is there any plan to seek any repercussions from anyone?
We, in discussions, we've been trying to find, I don't want to call it like, we've been trying to find if there is any recourse legally that we can take against Verizon. I mean, they had a regulatory deadline that they did not meet. And obviously Comcast and WAMICO have been very responsive in the short period of time that they were given to do something. WAMICO had a planned outage, was it last Wednesday night or the Wednesday before, to do the work they needed to do on the 4 poles that were left. Comcast has finished their work. At this point, it's really on Verizon, and it's costing the district $10,000 a month to operate this system, this legacy system, when we could be saving that money. And granted, I think that we all kind of understand that Verizon waited until January 6th to do something, because why would they want to lose the revenue, right? And that might just be the name of the game and how it has to work, but at this point it's January 27th, and it's impeding learning. It's impeding the business of the district and the town, and we've had a lot of responsiveness from our local elected officials, but it's really at this point on Verizon.
I am going to contact our attorney and get in touch with the Attorney General's office. We've
Okay, you
been-
took the words out of my mouth.
You had mentioned
It seems to
it
me we ought
last
to go to
time.
the Attorney
Yeah,
General.
we've been patient, but we really thought this was going to be resolved. So needless to say, the fact that Comcast still has not, Verizon has not honored their word. I will make that call tomorrow.
Very good. I think we should.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I support that. Kim?
And then if there's any repercussions for getting the money back that it's costing us?
We'll try.
I don't know, that's,
Yeah.
$10,000 is a lot of books.
$10,000 is a lot of books. And especially when the fiber projection, we're estimated to save $90,000 a year on owning our own system. We're certainly off to a very bad start on that. That being said, once this is up and running, which hopefully will be mid-February, everyone will see a dramatic improvement in the quality of internet access, internet service, and we will see a nice turnaround on our expenses, which will be nice, but all in due time, right? But I'll follow up with you tomorrow with the attorneys. So.
The administrative team has met several times over the past couple of weeks. The first priority is budget. We are using the strategic plan to guide our decisions and focus on our priorities, which are literacy, math, and technology right now, so that we continue to do that. We also have asked the principals to put in requests. We've met with them to discuss what the central office is thinking of. I actually took out positions and added some, because in terms of what we're looking at with the MCAS scores and with student achievement and with literacy, it was important to try and bring forward not only a balanced budget, but use our resources most wisely. So when you get the budget, you'll see that in many cases, teaching assistants have been swapped out for teachers or tutors, so that we're bringing forward the best people possible. We also had an administrative team meeting where we went through every single detail of the MCAS. I brought in the special ed supervisors, the assistant principals, and the principals to talk about what was happening, why the scores were dipping, why we were seeing trends. 3 years are trends that were quite worrisome and what was happening. We talked about our comparison to the state and the fact that people across the state seem to be raising scores while we seem to be dipping. So we're going to continue that discussion. The team is, everyone on the team is going to read the book Leadership and Student Achievement to see what their role is in making sure that students are getting the best education possible. And we're going to continue dialogues around student achievement. Janet, Kim, Tom, and I met on full-day kindergarten. All final decisions made as we prepare to send out the enrollment packets by February 1st, as we promised the parents. I did mention, I'm delighted to see all the Long Meadow High School clubs that are going out, that are competing academically. That's nice to see that students who have those interests have found a niche as well. And some of these clubs had 30 students in them. They were fairly large clubs for specific topics. LPVEC, last Wednesday I went to represent the superintendents at the collaborative at the board meeting. Our goal was to communicate with the board about the hiring process for the new executive director. So I had proposed that we have 3 superintendents and 3 board members on. That was agreed upon by the board. John's on the hiring committee, I'll be on the hiring committee. The final decision goes to the board. The way the process will go is the following. MASC will vet the resumes and come forward with 20. It will then go to the hiring committee made of 3 superintendents and 3 board members. We will decide on the characteristics and the qualities that we want in this director, given feedback from the groups that are coming to us in this current week. We will then interview and send forward 3 finalists to the board. The board will interview the 3 and they will make the final decision. And we hope to be doing that over the next several weeks. We want to move this along so that, that we're still within the hiring season. And we did talk about the implementation for the literacy update a little bit, just what's going on in the classrooms. We continue to see progress being made where the materials are out, they're being used. There needs to be a little bit of work done, in my own opinion. The reader's notebook, their students are writing reflections in it, but they're not getting the feedback I think that they need in order to enhance their writing. We want to make sure that this reading and writing is closely aligned because we know that that's going to help students in several ways in life. First of all, the open response, but second of all, to be both good readers and writers and reflective about their reading. So we continue to enjoy the walkthroughs. It's giving us a lot of information. It gives us things that we can follow up on as well as good discussions that we have with the principals.
Thank you. Any questions for Marie? All right, on to my update, and kind of piggybacking on what Marie was just talking about with literacy, I did have the opportunity to visit Jamie Quinn's 5th grade class at Center School, and they did, and the students did walk me through what they're doing with their new classroom libraries. So, you know, they're very excited about the opportunities that they have, which was very great to see. I also was able to make my 2nd appearance this year on CCS, or CSS, the Center School Center School Sightings, which I think Miss Giugio is chopping up right now and will be available online shortly. And I was asked some really great questions by some very astute reporters. Threw some hardballs my way, that's for sure. But it's definitely interesting to see the quality of questions that they can ask in 5th grade. And so it was really great to be able to get into a classroom and have, you know, a pretty good discussion about some of the initiatives that we've done as a board, and especially when they're benefiting from them, like the book library, the classroom library. The other thing I'm going to do is, later on in the agenda I had a tech update, but I figured because I'm going to be giving it, I'll just do it now, if that works for everybody. So can you turn the projector on? It's going to projector. And I'm going to be real fancy and use my phone to do this. Okay, great, perfect. So I'm gonna go around here. Elliot, that's slow. Thank you. Okay. So, couple things that we have, it's been a busy week or so. And the first thing I wanted to highlight was that last Wednesday, Diane and I sat down and we launched a Facebook page for the district and a Twitter. But mostly a Facebook page. They're integrated so that Twitter will update automatically. And I wanted to kind of provide some statistics. And this was launched, it's maintained by Marie's office and IT, so we really don't have much to do with it, but I wanted to kind of show you what's happened so far, which is pretty encouraging. The first thing is that in the first 24 hours, we got 200 likes within the first 48 hours. We launched this on the 21st. Within 48 hours, we had 200 likes, and we had 401 people that were reached organically, which basically means that they saw that we had a page without being directed to it. It showed up because of the activity that their Facebook friends had been liking our page. They'd seen it, which is great because we didn't send out an alert now message. This happened very, very quickly and very effectively. So far, we've done some really cool, Diane's done some very cool stuff. Diane's updating it. We had a Throwback Thursday where Diane posted some photos from Center School from what, 18...
It was minutes from 1898 and a photo from 1920.
Yeah. So these sort of things are available to us. We've already talked about the early release date that's happening next Monday. So, you know, we've posted weather cancellations that took place that day, the 21st, in the afternoon. So it's becoming useful. I know Kim's is posting on it a lot. She's being, engaging in it. So it's a good opportunity for us to engage with the community in a way that they are, already trying to engage with each other. And what's really interesting is on this slide is that the majority of the usage and the likes that we received were done by a mobile phone, which is going to kind of segue into the rest of my presentation. 65% of our likes, or the people that subscribe to our updates, did so on their phones. So that's an interesting statistic, which is going to kind of lead me to something I wanted to present to the board. I'm not going to ask anybody to vote on it tonight. We need to do more investigation, and if there's a cost to it, it needs to go before Finance Sub, but I wanted to bring to your attention something that I'd like to propose, which is an app. We know that smartphones dominate the market. We know that most people in this room, with the exception of Janet, have a smartphone, and John has a tablet. So we know that most people are using at least some form of tablet device or mobile phone. And so I wanted to kind of bring a statistic to everybody's attention, which is that this is our website views between September and December of 2013. And you can see it spikes a lot. I'm assuming a lot of those dips are weekends. And we had 304,827 unique page views in this 3-month period.
This is the public school?
This is the Longmeadow Public Schools, longmeadow.k12.ma.us/www. 304,827. That's a lot of people looking at that's a lot of visits to our page. Most unique about that are the visits that were done on either tablets or mobile devices. We have 61,721 combined views on mobile devices, with the average page visit being 1:29, which tells me, and I think it probably tells most people, that people are coming to our website from a mobile device or a tablet and looking for a specific thing and then leaving. More importantly, we took and Kevin gave me these statistics. This may not be the best week to look at because it was the week of vacation. You can see the drop-off. But over a 20-day period between December 22nd and January 12th, we saw that 25% of all visits to our website were done either on a tablet or a mobile device. So we know that people are coming to our website for information. I don't know what that information is specifically. We can tell page by page what they're looking at. I didn't ask Kevin for that information. And so that got me thinking about ways that we can continue to interact with the community and provide information in a very easy-to-digest manner, which leads to mobile apps. And I began talking with a company that I saw advertised in District Administration magazine, which we have available. I know that I get a copy, you get a copy of it. It's available for anybody who wants to read it. And this was one of the top 100 tools for a school district. And this is by a company, I forgot the name of the company, I think it's School Apps. And they offer a couple different services. They offer for an individual school, which is what we're looking at right now. And you can see that this school is actually in, I believe, Princeton, New Jersey. I think it's the Vikings. They're putting up a bunch of information. So, record setters. They're talking about people who have, students that have won various things. They have a wrestling, there's someone who won a wrestling meet, someone who is the block leader in basketball, career scoring leading. So kind of a great opportunity to acknowledge students, but more importantly, talking about 2-hour delay. It snowed, we have a 2-hour delay. With a hashtag #GoVikes. So you can obviously continue that engagement. So on your main screen, you have a great opportunity to post announcements. But then there's events. We talked a lot about how we want, and I know Kim's talked about this, how we want to be able to see what's going on across the district because she likes to bring her kids to the concerts or the sports games, you know, or the sporting events. So we have, up here, we have a bunch of different things. We have winter sports with a whole schedule of when there's games and where they are. So we know that on January 21st, the boys varsity basketball team was playing Walnut Hills. And we can actually see where we can add that event to our calendar, and we can also see it on the map. And they have a map that's part of it. So we can see where all these different events are taking place. So we know that there's a PAC meeting at Princeton, at the Admin Center for Princeton Public Schools, which is pretty cool. The other great feature of these type of apps is that we can list staff directory by school. And so for students and for parents who want to know who their teachers are and how they can best get in contact with them, especially at the high school level where maybe you don't know your kids' teachers as well. This is a great place to see who these people are. Katie.
So I love this. The only thing I'm wondering about is the sponsorship thing there.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
This is an active live school, so this is what this school's doing. This was the example that this company had given me.
Is there an option that we could have without the sponsor, the
Definitely.
advertisement sort of?
Yeah.
Okay.
So with this company, for instance, and I've been researching a bunch of different ones, this company will provide you with complete management of the app, customized, built to suit, no advertisement necessary at the bottom, unless that's something we consider down the road, but I know that we've already kind of taken a stance on that. The other thing, another thing that they have here is links. So they have links to their athletics homepage, to their Flickr page, so Kelly could be posting photos like she showed us today of literacy in the classrooms. We put that all on a Flickr stream. They're using a program called Progress Books, but we could be putting PowerSchool up there for parents to access it online, although PowerSchool does have an app. Naviance, which our guidance office uses through the generous support of Leaf. School lunch menus, which we already linked to on our website. Whitson's maintains their own website. So there's a lot of really great information up here and a lot of really great opportunity to access things that are on our website, but maybe not as easy to find. And then we have some social things. We have a Facebook link, a Twitter link. And this app features something I thought was interesting, but I think we need to talk about, and it's worth exploring, but you know, certainly a decision based on each individual school is a tip line. And this school allows their students to anonymously report bullying. So that's certainly something to consider, but you know. For students, it allows them to input their assignments, so they can say when something's due, whether it's a project, a test, something else maybe, like a chapter they need to read.
Can teachers do that as well?
Can they push it to the individual? I don't think so, because these students aren't logging into this, so I think there's some impetus on the student to do it themselves.
Okay.
I don't know, I mean, but obviously this is just one of the apps that we're looking at. Now, obviously that was for one school. We have 6 schools in Longmeadow, and so this is outside of Pittsburgh, this district right here, so the Northland Hills School District. And so rather than having a page that brings you directly to your school, you can sort by school. So let's say that next year Katie's oldest is in middle school and her youngest 2 are in elementary school. She can switch between the 2 schools and see what's going on, if she wants to. So this is just one of the apps, and I know that Katie was over the weekend found a school district, I think it was Glastonbury, using this company's app. But Johnston's, the textbook company, makes one for free. This one is for an entire school district would be $3,000 a year. So we have options that are worth exploring, but I believe that one way or another, we would be missing an opportunity to try to better inform parents and better inform the community about what we're doing if we don't at least investigate this further. Especially because so many school districts are already doing it, we're almost behind the times in a sense. And so that's kind of my little show about, about apps, and I'm opening it up to questions. John.
Yeah, you indicate 25% are accessing our site by their advanced cell phone.
That was a 20-day period that Kevin had given me. That was
Okay, but the figure was 25%.
25%.
So 75% are not.
Yep.
So where's the urgency here to?
Well, 25%, that was over a 20-day period that included the winter vacation. So we saw a decrease in page views regardless.
Do you have it for a time period with the didn't, maybe we could get it
We can definitely get it. I'd have to ask Kevin for it.
for,
But we saw, you know, we saw out of over a 3-month period, out of 304,000 page views, 61,000 of them accounted for those. 61,000 were mobile.
Well, are we currently getting complaints from parents that they don't know what's going on in the system, or we are?
I get a lot of complaints. I don't know about you guys.
I haven't heard one.
I get conversations with parents that they'd like to have more communication between the school and themselves.
And what's stopping them from just going online and with their computer and finding out what?
I don't know. I mean, I know, I don't know. I just,
Okay, all right.
and
Well, I think part of it is that each school has its own website, its own kind of way of presenting the information, and then each teacher, and then, and if we have one unified for the district where they can access information in one easy place where they're not going to be clicking all over it just makes it easier.
Okay.
I did speak with Kim and Janet today. We are going to convene the communication committee, because we're talking about actually finding someone to redo the website so that it's user-friendly. It does a district calendar and enhances the amount of information we provide as well as the ease. And I think that is one solution.
We talked about this last year too, with bringing in the students.
We did that with the
town
town,
Oh,
the town website, and the students did an excellent job, but it still required a lot of massaging. I think at this point it would be better to have a professional do it, to get it exactly the way we want it, make it user-friendly, because people are more likely to use it if it's user-friendly and they can navigate it easily.
And do these apps, do the services link back to kind of a user-friendly website where they can have the same ease of information on a desktop model of that?
Yeah, so for instance, with the app that I was just demonstrating for you, we can have it integrated with the Google site that we currently maintain, and so that information can get pushed. Also, what's kind of cool about it is that it actually will have push notifications. So if there is a 2-hour delay, or if there is an early release, it'll let you know. It'll push it to your tablet or your phone and let you know that ahead of time. And Jenny, you had.
John, in response to your
And Joseph.
question of our parents complaining, I've been at both the high school PAC meeting and at a middle school PAC meeting, where parents are saying they would like to have a district-wide calendar. At the high school PAC meeting, we discussed the fact that if you don't have a child in music or in art, the kids aren't coming home to say, hey, the jazz concert is next, Thursday night at 7, so unless a parent is actively going to look for that. But two, if you wanted to go see the elementary performances, or if you want, or if you're in elementary school and you want to go to the high school art fair, the cross communication between, school levels is what they're asking for. That's what I've been hearing.
I think that, the benefit, and like I said, we don't need to necessarily choose an option that's going to cost us something. But I think being able to aggregate information in a way that's user-friendly, easy to find, and in a place where people are already looking, and that's why Facebook is, that's why the Facebook page is such a great tool for us to be using, it's kind of a no-brainer in a sense, especially if it's not going to cost us anything. And if it costs us something, if we choose an option that's going to cost us something, then it's a very minimal something at that. I mean, $3,000 out of our $30+ million budget is very, very small, but obviously we want to be using that money responsibly. We want to be using it well. And, if I had to decide, was this a good option for us to spend $3,000, I think if it meant increasing the engagement with the community, then that's probably money well spent to a degree. Joseph?
Just to answer, John, your question from earlier, if I had to guess, our Power School actually runs through that domain, the longmeadow.k12.
Oh, yeah.
And so I bet, you'd have to ask Kevin on this, but I'd have to guess that those hits will probably be in the data you gave us. And I'd say 90% of the time students do check their Power School, and they check it very often on their cell phones. So because it was fell in that vacation where grades weren't being updated, if you looked at like any other period, it would probably be closer to 50+%.
Yeah.
Just because students do check very often their Power School, and most of the time is through the app and through just the mobile website.
Right, and these, I believe, hopefully I'm correct on this, this statistic that he provided me was just accessing our homepage, and not accessing the entire server, but just the homepage.
So I bet it would be even higher.
I bet it'd be even higher, but I could be wrong. I'll refrain. Yeah.
And I would bet a lot of the hits on our homepage are from our staff who access their email accounts through our homepage. Because there's a link right there, rather than bookmarking it themselves, they'll go to our homepage and click the email and log in that way.
I guess for me, what's the most compelling piece of this is just the amount of time spent, the average duration of a visit.
Mm-hmm.
It says to me that somebody's coming to the website, looking very quickly at the info, or trying to find the information they need quickly, and then leaving. So if it's looking at our calendar, trying to get an email address, so aggregating that information, in an accessible way, I think is beneficial. Janet?
And I'd agree, because I think, one of the things that we've all talked about is our transparency and our communication and our interaction with the community. Any ways that we can find to communicate with people, especially at no or minimal cost, I don't see why even though I don't have a smartphone, I don't see why we wouldn't do it.
And John's got an iPad, so...
He's already ahead.
He's already ahead of you.
And that's great.
I'm thinking of getting an iPhone. These things take time.
Procedurally, I think it's a great idea, but procedurally, this should go through Kevin. School committee has authority over budget, but it would be up to Kevin to come forward with a proposal and a selected app. But I think it's great.
Sure.
I think we should bring it to Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin and I have dialogued about it a little bit already. But obviously I think any support from this board goes a long way towards facilitating a position that Kevin would take. Certainly he has a little bit of a different opinion about it based on my conversation with him, but he's looking at it, I think, based on my conversation with him about who's going to update it and maintain it. And that's a reasonable question. And those
It's
are
a
things.
huge question.
It's a huge question, and those are things that we need to figure out before we jump into it. But I wanted to put it on everybody's periphery so that this is something we can do in the next 4 months or 5 months.
And the question, when we bring in the web designer, is that something that could be linked with this? You know about this. When they build the website, could they build it so that everything's automatically loaded to the app?
Sure.
Kim, were you going to?
I think they could.
Yeah.
I think I think so.
I think they could too,
Yeah.
which would solve the problem that he raised.
Right.
I mean, you update it in one location and it goes.
Yeah, which is, so for instance, with the app that I was demonstrating today, if you email these people the information, they'll upload it. Or, conversely, if you tell them you want it built to sync with your Google Docs, which is how we have the website built right now, our Google site, anytime Diane adds an entry to the homepage, it uploads automatically, which is, that's a nice feature. But a lot of different apps out there, a lot of different options. I showed this one because this is the demo that I received, and I think it's a good one. I think it's good for at least showing what we could do.
I love the pushes, I love the district calendar so people know. I think families would come to more games and more events if they had access to that information.
And I might, and obviously this is a select board issue at the same time, or what I'm about to say is a select board issue, but cities like Northampton, West Springfield are using citizen self-service apps for DPW, flag a pothole. These are definitely things that, as we continue to develop our side of tech, we've proposed to them in the past. I know that Marie Angelides has kind of pushed a little bit of something on their side, but certainly things that we can maybe leverage alongside them and try to maybe get better deals out, better financing deals out of, but not leave them in the dust necessarily, because there's a lot of benefit, I think, to all residents from having this type of technology, and because we control the purse strings on that to an extent, be interesting in hearing whether or not that's something they want. But so, any other questions? All right. What else do I have for you? Next week, I will be going to the CPA meeting Thursday night, right after Judy Nielsen's pasta dinner, to their hearing, to talk about some of the projects that they're considering, the track mostly. And finally, I would just like to remind the board that we will be meeting next Tuesday night, the 4th of February, at 7 o'clock in this room, to see the budget for the first time. So, exciting night.
Where? In the gym?
In this room.
In this room,
Yeah.
excuse me.
School committee meeting room. A15.
Do not do that to me.
A15?
It's at 7 o'clock, isn't it?
Yeah.
A15.
Oh,
Hey.
I'm like, Abe.
Admin. Building A.
Like you're telling Johnny 15.
No, John will be here at 7. Sorry, I know, that's how, after I figured out what you were talking about. All right, Joseph.
To follow up with my parking report, still working with Mr. Dunkley on publishing that. We're talking about putting it up on the website, emailing it to students and parents, and adding it to the handbook. That'll probably be discussed during the discipline committee, or the handbook committee in April. But that's what we're talking about. Still working on that. From the students that have seen it, there's a lot. The biggest pushback that I hear is that they don't have to buy a parking pass because there's no sign in the parking lot that says they have to. Absurd. But my suggestion, just from what I've heard to the committee, is look into adding a sign at the entrance that reads something like, all students require a parking pass to park here. Or
We don't need to, it's in their handbook that
Okay.
they sign and bring back every year.
Okay, just that's the biggest thing I've heard after people read the report is I don't care. There's no sign.
All right, well, there wasn't a sign at the old high school either.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
But a question on that is, do we patrol,
Actually, we in the last at the beginning of quarter 3, the administration started making announcements that they know that they had been a little lax because of the construction, but that starting at the beginning of quarter 3, they were going to ramp up how strict they were on enforcing that rule. And actually, I believe police have been checking the parking lot for cars without passes and getting license plate numbers.
good.
There are I think people parking without paying is actually a large percentage of the population.
You think so?
And so on that assumption, I'm actually planning with my team that comes with me to our 7 or 6 o'clock meetings. What we're looking at is conducting a survey of the upperclassmen, because a lot of students say that they would pay to park if it was a little bit lower. So, and I know that that's always been pushed back, but basically the idea that the team came up with was to figure out what percentage of people actually are parking without paying, and figure out what price those people would pay, and see if there's any logic to a different price which would have more people pay, which increase the total revenue, which would offset the lowering of the fee. That's just something I'm going to look at, not something I'm suggesting. So sometimes basically a follow-up to the report, I will look into that kind of survey. I brought with me tonight a laptop that the tech department has given me. It's an Acer Google Chromebook. Me and four other students were given each a device starting last Wednesday, ending this Wednesday, as part of Bring Your Own Device. Basically, what I understand it, they're trying to figure out what the best device, a low-cost alternative device, would be to give to students who don't have one once the district implements BYOD. So far, we're liking the Google Chromebook the best.
Good.
But yeah, it's all the devices are very nice. But the one I have is the Google Chromebook, and that's actually going very well. I've been using it in all my classes. I'd like to work the rest of the year, and this is something I'm going to be looking into more, is the step up between 8th grade and 9th grade. I think there's some room for improvement there. We do a great orientation, but I'm going to look into. I'm going to be talking with middle school principals about any ways to improve that process. Maybe students who are interested in specific roles, maybe class officers or things of that nature, bring them up for a day and showing them around the high school, and so giving students a little less shock and awe when they get here the first day before everybody else. That's something I'll be working on. I already talked about the pasta dinner, but so that's coming up. And other than that, the lunch is still pretty good.
I did ask the 5th graders when I was there whether or not they liked Whitson's, and they, on the whole, said yes.
Could I just add on to the report that the one-to-one initiative is underway. We do have the students looking at different devices. We did survey the students, and based on the responses that we got, we believe that there'd be about 100 students that would not have devices. The Chromebooks are $400.
Actually, the Chromebook I have right in my hands is $199.
Oh, good.
And from what I got from Tech, they get a small discount for volume.
Perfect. So if that's the case, as Larry asked today, would it be possible, because he heard feedback that the Chrome was very popular, would we be willing to order them for students that want to pay for them too as well, especially those with multiple children? That would come in as a very affordable way to do it, and not be bringing expensive machines to school. So part of the holdup right now is the broadband. We can't possibly put students online because we'll shut down the system. So until that's fixed, we're not going to be moving forward. But we're in very good shape for working out a lot of the details that will make this program successful at the high school.
Yeah, the only negative feedback I gave to Tech was that until we get the network up and running, this would be almost useless, because it's actually, you can't put any apps on it. I mean, you can't put any applications like a traditional PC application. It's all web-based, which is the direction everything's kind of going. So it's very futuristic and very low cost. But without that high-speed network that we're looking forward to, wouldn't be the best if everybody had it.
No, would not be good.
It's a touchscreen too.
Is it a touchscreen?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And Marie, just for clarification, the one-to-one is being done at the high school only right now?
At the high school only, correct.
But I do like the option of seeing if we can offer families of buying Chromebooks at that rate.
That's a great price. I didn't realize they were so little. I had asked the tech department to find devices under $200, but I thought the Chromes were $300, so that's great.
And
Okay.
touchscreen.
That's
Katie.
very affordable.
So I just have a question, and maybe it's more of a concern, but, so they're $199, which is awesome, except because they're web-based, what happens when the kids go home and they maybe don't have Wi-Fi? So they can't access anything?
They will have to come after school. We'll have to make the library available to kids that need to get to it, or they have to go to the public library. I think most students have, the family has access for the most part. We haven't run into that yet, but that will be a problem.
Yeah, and I know that when did we order this batch of Chromebooks?
Brand new,
Yeah, this
Within
is just one.
within
That
the
one.
past 8 weeks.
So because like just 2 weeks ago, they got recalled too.
I think it was a certain model, though.
Was it not this
It
one?
was HP.
Oh,
actually.
it was
These
not
are
that.
Acer.
Okay,
There's a bunch of different Chromebooks. I know. I looked up this model. This one's $199.
okay.
That's great.
Awesome. Any other questions
So
for
I'll talk to
Joseph?
Kevin about actually opening that up for parents to buy and putting out a
That would
large order.
be, that would be very, very nice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
For those of us with multiple children at upper grade levels.
All right. Fantastic.
1,400 for
All right,
one.
so Jim is not here tonight. And so I guess I'm going to let Tom or Liz or John or whoever wants to bring us through the finance report.
Liz, you want to do it?
Sure. At the finance meeting, we just talked about the Rays of Hope using a parking lot. And we also talked about the fees for kindergarten, preschool, and out-of-state tuition, which is upcoming for motions. And we talked about the budget. And we have another meeting this week. I think Jim's going to be back.
Jim will be there.
And so we're just getting ready for our big budget meeting next week. And
So we do have 3 tuitions that Finance Subcommittee recommended for consideration for approval by school committee. The first is for a tuition for students from out of state. The law allows for a tuition to be set equal to your per student expenditure costs. Right now, the most recent information that the Department of Education has available is FY12, and our information is $13,011 per student was our expenditure amount. For years, our rate has been $9,000. I think it's important to note that the information that the Department of Education provides is cost of all students, so it would include regular ed, special ed, ELL students. The student we currently have who is paying the tuition from out of state is graduating this year. I think it's an opportune time for us to look at increasing the tuition rate. I propose to Finance Sub increasing it by $1,000 to $10,000 for any out-of-state student who might be interested in coming in FY15. Finance Sub voted to support it, the increase, and set the rate at $10,000.
On the motion?
Sure.
I move on the recommendation of the Assistant Superintendent, excuse me, for Finance and Operations and the Finance Subcommittee that the school committee set the tuition rate for out-of-state students to or at $10,000 for the 2014-2015 school year.
second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Do we anticipate having, another student come on a tuition basis? I know that we've had like 2 in the last 6 years.
It's hard to predict. We have had some inquiries from new potential out-of-state students coming in next year, but nothing certain at this point.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All of those in favor? And the motion carries 6-0.
The next tuition is for the full-day kindergarten program. As you have heard, there was a kindergarten committee to look at full-day kindergarten program. Based on all of the analysis and work that they've done, they came back with a recommendation of $3,000, which is a reduction of $1,150 over our current tuition rate. Based on that, the pre-enrollment survey that was done, we anticipate an increase with the reduced rate. We currently have participation rate in the full-day program of about 1/3 of the students. The hope would be that it would increase closer to 3/4 of incoming kindergarten students into a full-day program. So we've planned our budget accordingly to put at least 6 full-day kindergarten classrooms throughout the district and 2 half-days. But that is dependent upon, achieving a certain level of participation of tuition students. So, but the proposal is, and was recommended by Finance Sub, to reduce the rate to $3,000, paid over 5 installments, starting with the deposit, and then $600 installments starting in the August. One with a deposit, correct?
The deposit was due upon registration.
And then 4 other payments starting August 1st.
October,
December,
and February.
So that is the proposal for the full-day kindergarten tuition for FY15.
On a motion?
Please.
I move on the recommendation of the Kindergarten Committee and the Finance Subcommittee that the school committee set the fee for the optional full-day kindergarten program at $3,000 for the 2014-2015 2015 school year.
Second.
A motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? Janet?
Yep, I'm good, thank you. I'm appreciative that, the finance subcommittee was able to make that work.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to comment very quickly that, obviously we've talked a lot about the work that you guys have done, and I think that this is a very important step towards having a successful program for next year. So I'm very comfortable with the $3,000 rate. I think it's very reasonable. It might make us the best choice in town, but obviously there's some other great choices out there. We're just the best. But that being said, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0.
The final tuition is for our preschool program. We currently charge $2,000, and I recommended that it remain the same for next school year. Finance sub agreed with a $50 discount if the payment is paid up front at the beginning of the year. So, and that was voted unanimously by finance sub also.
Okay. A motion?
Okay, I move on the recommendation of Finance Subcommittee and the Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Operations that the school committee set the fee for the preschool program at $2,000 for the 2014-2015 school year and offer a $50 discount for full payment received by September 1st, 2014.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call for a vote. All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Awesome. All right, so you guys are meeting Wednesday on budget.
Correct.
Coming back to this committee for first review of the budget on the 4th.
Correct.
And then we have our budget hearing on the 11th?
On the 10th.
The 10th, with
Monday.
a special meeting scheduled for the 11th if necessary.
Correct.
All right, and the budget, we're going to be doing the hearing in here.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Great. All right, moving right along to other reports. SBC.
School Building Committee?
Did we have any, we haven't had a meeting since.
No, I was not at the last one. We had another event I had to be at.
Okay, I was in attendance. There's really nothing beyond what you mentioned earlier, that
Yeah.
Anthony's staying on to help reduce the number of items on the punch list down to hopefully 0, or as close to 0 as we can get. There was some discussion about the cost of electricity in the new building, and Finance Subcommittee has been talking about that, and, well, it's a little bit early because we don't have enough, we don't have a full year yet to measure, but it is a concern of members of the high school building committee. I can't say all, but we're concerned about the amount of electricity being used, because we supported this project largely because it was supposed to be a green project, and people can differ on their meaning of green, but if we're using more electricity than we were without certain efficiencies, then that's not exactly what we bargained for. So we're waiting to see.
Okay. Fair enough. Legislative.
Yes, the governor has filed a budget. I can't claim I saw it because he didn't make the presentation because of the snowstorm. So it's somewhere out there as a memo. But basically, he proposed an increase in, he wants pre-K funded, he wants transportation, and more local aid. But as we learned last year, the legislature will also have their budget, and then it becomes a matter of reconciling the two. This is Governor Patrick's last year as governor. And, and for what it's worth, there's a number of people running for governor, and it might be interesting to get out there and ask some questions of them to just see what their agenda is and how it matches with ours.
I agree with John. I did have an opportunity to speak with Treasurer Grossman the other day about revising the Chapter 70 formula, so that towns like Long Meadow, who are predominantly residential, have an opportunity to see an increase potentially, so that the burden, which falls, primarily on residential taxpayers, is a little bit upset, taking into account the fact that we don't have an industrial tax base like our neighbors in East Long Meadow. So, certainly on his periphery at the moment. I would also say, just to add to your legislative, that's not necessarily legislative, but it is town and state related. Tomorrow, the town of Long Meadow is being seen before the the Mass Gaming Commission on our petition for surrounding community status. So something to definitely pay attention to, and I wish Town Manager Crane and Chairwoman Angelides good luck, because that's going to be an interesting thing to watch. Okay. Green team.
We haven't met, so I
Okay.
don't have anything specifically green team related.
Okay. Op sub.
Nothing.
Okay. Seal.
Um,
Something.
We had a very productive meeting last week, and I'd just like to thank all the parents who came out and gave feedback to help us improve.
Yeah, I would echo those comments. It was a really great meeting. I think it was a great opportunity for Marie and for Sue and definitely Katie and I to hear some of the comments that these parents had about their experiences, with pupil services. And it seems like SEAL is going to take the place of PLACE in the sense that they are going to be an active and strong advocate for parents of special education students. And a lot of parents showed up, and I think it was great. So.
I think it was a great meeting. We had a lot of insights into perhaps how some of the restructuring we're doing can help better service the students at the elementary school. It seemed that the concerns that were raised by the parents that I met with in my office as well as at the meeting have been around the elementary school. So we are adding more teachers at that, at all three elementary schools, and I think that's going to help solve some of the problem, as well as other work that we're doing.
Perfect. Collaborative. I know we got a big update from you. Is there anything?
Yeah, the Lower Pioneer Valley Educational Collaborative, that's what we call LPVEC, those of you at home. Well, we met last Wednesday. The principal activity was forming a group on the board and to work with the superintendents to find a replacement for a very talented incumbent director who's leaving to become superintendent of schools in Hadley. So I'm going to be on that committee, and Marie's going to be on the superintendent's committee, so we'll be working on that. And the principal business that we are doing with the collaborative seems to rest on transportation. It's a great savior of money for us to have the Lower Pioneer Valley Educational Collaborative supply us with buses and bus services. The alternative would be for us to do it ourselves, which would entail very large expenses, like maintenance barns and hiring mechanics and a lot of the stuff that's done very rationally in a centralized location is resulting in a cheaper price for us, so that's positive. And everything else is pretty much routine. We're still doing labor negotiations with the bus drivers. That's it.
All right, thank you. Any questions for John? Middle school working group. Have you guys met yet?
No, we're gonna send them out a doodle to meet soon.
Great. Policy sub. Do you want to go now, or do you want to wait? We can do these two now.
Go.
It's up to you.
It's actually just one policy,
Okay.
right?
Well, we have the first reading, and then you have the second reading on
Oh, do
building
I?
use.
Oh, sorry. Somewhere I'm at. Oh, okay. Right, the first policy that we amended was the student teaching and internships. We just added some more tying it to the handbook, teacher handbook, employee handbook, excuse me.
So this is the first reading of policy LDA.
Correct.
Or the amendment, I should say, to policy LDA. And I would just add that per school committee policy, this will be posted on the district website for 30 days for public comment, and that we are not required to take any action at this time. I got that down.
You do. And our second policy is for the second reading and approval, policy KF, community use of school facilities.
Awesome. So at this time, I would entertain a motion on policy KF.
I move on the recommendation of the Policy Review Subcommittee that the school committee approve the policy file KF, community use of school facilities as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion?
I just had a question. Was there any public commentary?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody's copacetic. All right, I'll entertain a vote. All those in favor? And the motion carries 6-0. So an amendment to policy section KF. So, perfect. All right, moving right along. We're zooming.
Kindergarten committee.
Kindergarten committee. Do we need an update at this time?
The registration packets should be going out February 1st, as promised. So be looking for information via mail, via Alert Nows, via news media, for deadlines and information about registration.
A question about that.
No?
Okay.
They can also go on our district website. and just-
Yes, and the
or-
school's
Or
websites.
come right in to Diane and she can give them paperwork to fill out.
What is your question?
Are we doing any sort of, not advertisement, but any sort of notification through some of the existing preschools like JCC, like Montessori? Because either way, these kids who live in town need to be, we need a registration.
Right, which is why we're reaching out via all three of the newspapers, the Facebook, the moms group, the schools themselves, the mailings from the census that we have, because we didn't feel that it was necessarily right to ask our colleagues to be advertising for us.
I disagree, but only because I can understand when we're talking about full day and maybe cannibalizing some of that business.
Well, but we are.
I know, but we're also talking about half day. At the same time, we need a registration from those students too, correct?
We do.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily?
Some, if they're going to a JCC or a Montessori, they're probably, and only in the half day, they're probably not coming here. They don't always.
Okay. But
Sometimes they
do we
do.
pick up-
Sometimes they do a swap.
Okay.
But,
We do pick up a lot of people when we get into first grade
Okay.
that were not in our kindergarten program.
customarily, every year, we do a press release to go to Long Meadow News, Reminder, and the Springfield Republican.
Right, which
So
we're getting
we'll-
ready
we'll work on
to
that.
go out.
Okay.
'Cause that should
We
probably go
just,
tomorrow.
at the kindergarten committee meetings, we did talk about that at one point,
Yeah.
and, we just felt that we would be stepping on neighbors' toes by doing that, and that it wouldn't be,
Well, does it hurt to ask, I guess?
yes.
Yeah? Okay. Got it.
What about sending a letter to every pediatrician in the Springfield area, letting them know that there's a new program available at considerable savings, and that just let them pass it on to their, because almost every child in this town probably has a pediatrician, right?
Hope so.
I think it'd be a lot of work to find all of the pediatricians.
No,
I think
just
if we hit the
look it up in a
newspapers,
phone book, right? No?
I don't know.
We're doing a direct mailing to 155 families. And those include the children that we got from the census and everybody else that answered the pre-enrollment that wasn't on the census. And then we'll advertise and we'll put it on the website. And I think we're gonna do a good job at getting
Word out.
word out.
Okay. Do we need to put ads, when you talk about the Long Meadow News, and are you talking an ad or a press release?
Press release.
They'll cover it.
Would
They've
an
always
ad be better?
customarily covered it for us.
Would an ad be better? Or do we have any,
They'll run a story
any
for
way
us.
of judging that?
No, I think they'll run a story for us. They've been very good about it.
Oh, okay. All right, I just thought I'd share those.
And perhaps the Twitter feed.
Well, you know.
and
if you have-
Facebook and,
And I'd have to say, if you are around here and you have a child that's going to be 5 and going into kindergarten, you're basically waiting for that little moment when you see someone that says kindergarten registration,
Right.
and you, oh, I gotta go sign my kid up, because it's, I mean, this is a big deal for a lot of parents. So I know that was the first thing I did when I put an offer on my house in this town, was call the superintendent's office and tell them.
Remember that?
That's usually what a lot of parents do when they move to town.
right. But so we thought we're reaching, and we had made that announcement at our previous forum, is that we were going to continue to use all of the methods of advertising that we have done so far, for consistency's sake, plus the fact that we felt it reached as many people in the community as possible. So,
Whatever you think.
thank you.
All right, great. I guess we're going to move on to school calendar. Hot ticket item. All right, so I know that the calendar committee, which is made up of Unit A members and the admin team, along with the superintendent, has come up with a plan. Before us tonight is the 2014-2015 draft calendar. And in the next few weeks or so, we're going to be seeing a 2015-2016 draft calendar, so that we're approving a calendar 2 years ahead of time, hopefully relieving a lot of the stress that comes from trying to coordinate vacations, summer camps, graduation, things like that. So I think this is a great plan. I know that we were kind of alerted to this sort of plan maybe back in November. So I'm very supportive of that. And so before us tonight is the 2014-2015 calendar. We, as a committee, have an opportunity to comment on it and ultimately approve it. If we do have comments and changes that we would like to see, it does need to go back to calendar committee, which will delay the process, but that does not mean we shouldn't comment if they're serious, ask them to change it if we're serious. So I'm going to ask for a motion, and then we'll open it for discussion.
Needs a motion.
I move that the school committee, on the recommendation of the superintendent and the Long Meadow Education Association's calendar committee, approve the 2014-15 school calendar as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. John.
Yeah. Under August 29th, it says no workday for school year staff. That means, like the teachers. It doesn't mean,
Right,
the
it's
secretaries who
teachers.
are here in the summer will still be here.
Right. So school year staff are people that work 185 days, plus or minus, there's pluses usually. And then year-round staff would be administrators, year-round secretaries, custodians, that kind of thing.
Well, I was just wondering why we wouldn't credit them with a workday. We don't want to credit them with a workday? What's the?
They want the long weekend. They want
the
4
long
days
week. Well,
off.
it is, yeah, it goes in with Labor Day. Okay, the other question I had is the winter vacation. This year it's going to be, the 23rd will be a half-day. And instead of returning on the day after New Year's, they're not going to return until the 5th.
We do that in
Correct.
order to save heat. When you have to heat the buildings for one day, it's very expensive to do that. So typically, if there's just one day, we have that day off and then go into the next week. If it were 2 or more days, then we certainly would reopen.
Okay. No, I think that's a rational reason. No need to fire it up for just one day of instruction.
So then, I guess that leads to my question, because we leave for winter break, we come for a full day on the 22nd, and then we have the 23rd for a half day. And so we're gonna heat the building for a day and a half day. Is it worth, are we,
It counts as time, so I think the staff is appreciative that they can get off to get traveling, with those that live out of state and whatever else.
no, like, why are we bothering
Heat-wise,
to have school for that day and a half? Because, I don't think that kids are gonna show up with their full minds active to learn.
yeah, it's still a day and a half. It's not as bad as a day. And some of us are here a full day.
And heat-wise, you're still going through to Friday the week before, and you've only got 2 days off, the Monday and half-day Tuesday. The buildings only have 2 days that they're not being used. It's not like we're already out a week,
And then they have to.
and then
come.
you're firing it up.
I think Katie's just saying that,
Why bother?
no, why bother? The kids are not going to be
Because
into
you-
work, and maybe we could find somewhere else where they could have those 2 days put back in.
You'd have to put the 2 days back in at the end of the year. But also, it is a time when the kids are celebrating, and to at least give them that time of closure with the teachers where they can have half a day to,
Party.
I wouldn't say completely party, but to celebrate the holidays as well as to have some downtime, because their schedules are tight. You know that with the new literacy and the writing and everything else. So I think for them to at least have a half day where they realize that they can do something like have their plays and have celebrations, I think that's healthy for the kids.
Couldn't they do that on the 9th?
That's, yeah.
No, that's an
No.
academic day.
Just senior year he's worried about. John?
There's also a very popular dance program that the phys ed department starts putting on from the middle of December on, and it culminates in a large number of people. Well, and it's dance instruction. They teach a number of different dance steps, and it's a very popular
It is
course.
fun.
Line dancing,
Line
and you're
dancing.
invited to come do it.
Yeah, I
I
think
have to work.
They have it going on. It's
I
great.
think attendance figures show there's a little bit of a drop-off, but not that big.
Janet? And then Joseph.
My only question would be looking at April with the Easter holiday of we're having Good Friday off, and then coming back on Monday to be an early release day. I'm not sure how parents are going to feel about that and what our attendance would be like that day. Just an observation.
Joseph?
And just so everyone knows, the last day before winter break, the high school it has a different schedule. All blocks are shortened already from the half day, and we put on for the last hour a talent show.
But that was a full day.
This year it was a full day.
Yeah.
I don't. So I guess it's a tradition they've always done. So I'm assuming that it would be the blocks would be even shorter.
When is that?
23rd December.
Well, that's actually not
The
good.
one-
You want to make that a full day, and then let the high school then adjust the schedule?
Oh, I think it was for
I would
the-
suggest that there be no modifications to the schedule. This happened several years ago. The contract stipulates that the administration meets with the union, and they met several times to develop this calendar, and they would perceive it as insulting if it was changed.
The one comment that I have is, and I just have to echo comments that I hear in the community, because obviously, I don't have children in the school system, is that it's almost like there's so few weeks where there's actually a full week of school. That, it's disruptive, I think, for professional schedules, especially with, our early release days or our late start days, the days that we have off. I understand that there's not a whole lot that we can do about that, but I think it's worth voicing that opinion, because it is an opinion that I've heard from multiple parents,
Absolutely.
from multiple schools, at Big Y, at Starbucks, any place you go. Why are my kids in school a full week?
Well, I can tell you too, from the teacher's standpoint, it's hard to fit everything in without any interruption. So the teachers feel that too. So
Yes.
it's both ends of this. There's no.
So, obviously, we don't want to insult anybody. But I would just say that if we can modify future calendars to be considerate of that fact, that, half days are just as bad as not having school, when you have a job and you're trying to work, I think that we could make some parents happy, because, obviously, we're here to educate kids, but we're also here to make sure that, they're getting the most out of their time while they're here. And, when they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 early release and late start days, it's a lot, especially when you have Good Friday, especially when you have vacations and Labor Day and Yom Kippur and, you know, Patriots Day and all those other holidays that are included here. Kim and John.
Okay.
I just, a question. Is this a Massachusetts law that we have to take like Good Friday off and we have to have Veterans Day off?
Veterans Day, yes.
It's a Massachusetts thing and it's like.
Any
federal
federal
thing.
holiday, you
Good
have to.
Friday.
It's a
Contractual.
Massachusetts, I just, the state we moved from, we didn't have those days off.
Right, state holidays as well. We celebrate Martin Luther King Day and their state.
Well,
Patriots
that,
Day.
yeah, that, and.
So we do have to take those. But we do not have to take religious holidays. That's up to the district, and usually the district determines whether or not they operate school, depending on whether or not they'll have staff to cover and how many children are actually going to be in school that day.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was just,
I was here long enough to remember when we didn't do that, we had a huge number of substitute required. And we wanted to be balanced and fair to make sure the Christian students and the Jewish students that their holidays were respected, as well as staff.
Yeah.
I'm just, half the days my kids are off, my husband still has to go to work. So I'm just looking at it thinking,
Me too.
you know, in the town that we had moved from, the state, we didn't have those days off, and we actually, instead of having them, we actually took the whole week of Thanksgiving off, because we knew the kids were gonna be gone anyway. So it's like things like those 2 days in December that you know no one's gonna be here anyway, you could have them here in November and October on those days, but
Mhm.
if it's a state thing, then it's a state thing, can't do anything about it.
Right. John.
On the comment that some parents find us not in session often enough, it goes to the fact that we have 5 professional days that we've, as a committee, over the years have agreed is a worthwhile use of staff time and school time. So it was a philosophical discussion, yes, and we added days that school would not be in session. But it's with a goal in mind of maintaining, you know,
Oh, yeah.
keeping teachers updated with the latest best practices and giving them time to work together as colleagues and a team. That's the rationale behind professional.
Oh, yeah, and we certainly can't underscore the importance of the work that goes on early release days and late start days and professional development days. I mean, you know, there's so much that we're asking of our teachers, and, you know, we don't have the time in the year necessarily to train them on that or give them the education or the skill or, you know, the opportunity to gain skills unless we have those days. So definitely we can't underscore the importance of those things. I'm just wondering if there's a better way to lay it out sometimes, you know?
Well, it's a good question. We did actually look at that. We do appreciate the parent support in helping us. We do understand it is a burden, that they need to find childcare often, or they have to make arrangements with neighbors. We did try and do that, but we also looked at it from the staff developer's point of view. How much time does it take to train? How much time for teachers to practice between them? You also don't want to go too late in the year, because then teachers won't use the tools they've been given. It's toward the end of the year.
Definitely.
We did try, but it's very hard to do that, given, you're right, there are a lot of days off.
Joseph?
Well, at the high school level, with the late start days and the early release days, I don't think it has as much of an effect at the elementary schools, just because we're used to not having classes on certain days because of the schedule. We don't have 2 blocks every day.
Yeah.
So not ever having each class shortened a little bit doesn't affect us as much. We're a little bit more used to it. But
Yeah.
so, I
And
mean,
you guys are also capable of getting yourselves home.
Yeah,
You know,
also
that's the big part.
impact.
When we're approving this calendar, are we also approving the school committee meeting days, or is that something we do independently?
We do it, I mean,
Because I would
Relative.
request that for November, if we're having a 4-day weekend, that we could perhaps move our meeting to the Tuesday night.
Or Wednesday.
in the
Or Wednesday.
past, you know, I think the dates that are on this calendar are the presumed dates of meeting. I know that we set our summer schedule at the last June meeting, and we obviously, as you saw earlier this year, changed some dates around in December and November. So I don't think that
I didn't know if it had
Yeah.
to be done with the
No.
approval of this or not. That's why I was
No,
asking.
we can call and cancel meetings
We
however
can
we
do
see
that.
fit.
This calendar is the second, it's the presumed, school committee, second and fourth
Right,
Mondays of the month. If there's a holiday,
the
I pushed
Tuesday.
it to Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we
That's how I
can,
did it.
we can
No,
change
and I
meetings however
totally
we
get
want.
that.
Hmm.
But, you know,
Okay.
on the off chance that somebody goes somewhere,
Yeah, no.
not me, but, you know, I'm
Somebody.
sure somebody might travel.
I might try.
You might try.
All right. Any other discussion on this?
What are the numbers in the corner? Is that the number of school days that?
In that
was?
month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Marie, did the teachers recommend that November period? That means they're not giving themselves a long weekend, whereas families in town will be enjoying a long weekend.
Yes, they're aware of that. We tried to make those professional days so that at least if we were interrupting somebody's schedule, that the family could take a long weekend on many of these days. So we purposely picked Mondays or
Which
Fridays.
is appreciated.
Okay. Well, I was on the committee when we had a problem with, the committee voted to not accept the report. And as you pointed out, the union was very upset with us. And that was a violation of what was the protocol. This was back in the year 2009, I believe, before you came on. And I think we actually wound up with legal expenses because of the controversy. So
Yeah.
I recommend we go ahead with what we've already worked out.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I certainly recommend, I echo those comments, John. I recommend that we vote for the calendar as it is, and hopefully calendar committee and admin use the comments that they received here as guidance potentially, or at least as, you know, as some sort of,
As consideration.
as consideration in, you know, future calendars, because, you know, obviously we're here to represent the parents and the students, and, you know, just kind of bringing their comments forward, and this is the time to do it. We don't have another opportunity to, you know, lodge the complaint, except for tonight, so. If there's no other comments, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor? I forgot to call. Motion carries 6-0. Joseph voted too.
I did?
I don't know, I saw you.
Didn't do. Sorry.
You'll notice too, you have the 2016 calendar.
It's not in here.
It's not in there?
No.
No,
We
just
didn't.
got one.
We're meeting one more time
Okay.
on February 5th.
Okay, you don't have the 2016.
But we will.
But you are going to be asked to approve it because the high school has asked that we go a year out in order to reserve Symphony Hall for graduation. They're finding that more and more districts are doing 2-year calendars, and we're not able to get prime dates for that reason.
Yep.
Because we don't have the calendar, okay?
Will they,
Well, all right.
John?
It's not on the calendar, but, or agenda. Why can't we have graduation here in our new building?
It's not large enough. Symphony Hall is much larger.
In the gymnasium?
I don't believe the high
Yeah.
school thinks it's fancy enough.
I'm, as far as I understand it, the class raises the money to pay for Symphony Hall.
Yeah.
So it would be up to the discretion of the class officers. Every year we do look at all options.
I believe we budget, the school
We do?
budget covers the cost.
Yes,
Sometimes you might subsidize
the high
it.
school budget does.
Yeah.
Well,
And it is around $5,000.
I think, John, it's become a tradition that is highly regarded by parents and students. I've always been told that it's a really classy graduation for that reason. I've never heard anybody say, we wish we could have it. Now that we have the new school, it will be interesting to see if we do have that opinion floating around.
But I would also say truthfully, I mean, when you look at even the award ceremony at the high school,
It's not comfortable.
it's, well, it's not that it's not comfortable, it's that it's, you know, you have all the students, you know, you have the entire school population there, and the gym is full between parents and those students. And when we go to Symphony Hall, I mean, basically every seat is filled, second floor, balcony, you know, even in the orchestra section. I mean, we fill it. So you have to imagine there's at least 2,000 people that show up for that, and the capacity of the gym isn't nearly as much. So,
Okay.
all right, moving right along. We have we have preliminary field trip requests. We have 2 of them. One for a trip to England, France, and Scotland, and one for a trip to Austria and Germany. And I'll entertain motions on both.
I move on the recommendation of the superintendent that the school committee approve the preliminary request to secure prices and make arrangements for students from Long Meadow High School to travel to France, England, Scotland in April 2015.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? And the motion carries.
And I move on the recommendation of the superintendent that the school committee approve the preliminary request to secure prices and make arrangements for students from Long Meadow High School to travel to Austria and Germany in April 2015.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? And the motion carries. Approval of warrants.
Okay. I move the school committee approve the warrant batch number 2200 of the General Operating Fund for fiscal year 2014, dated 31 January 2014, in the amount of $558,342.42.
Second.
Thank you.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Is that it?
That's it, just one
Oh,
packet.
short batch. All right, consent agenda. Can I have a motion on the consent agenda?
I move on the recommendation of the superintendent that the school committee approve the consent agenda for the January 27th, 2014 school committee meeting as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, approval of minutes. Can I have a motion on the minutes from January 13th?
I move that the school committee approve the minutes to the January 13, 2014 school committee meeting as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion, corrections? Seeing none, I will call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries 6-0. We do have a motion for executive session minutes, and I would ask that they be approved and not released.
I move that the school committee approve the executive session minutes to the January 13, 2014 school committee meeting as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Fantastic. I know that our annotated agenda says that there is an executive session. There is not an executive session posted for tonight. And so at this point, I would ask for a motion to adjourn unless there's other business.
So moved.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? And the meeting is adjourned. We'll be back next Tuesday, 7 o'clock for our budget hearing. Anybody who's interested in for our budget meeting. The following week we'll be back on the 10th for our budget hearing. Anybody who's interested in our budget, watches next week's meeting or comes, more than welcome at both meetings, but comments will be heard on the 10th. See you then.